Hey guys, it's CWillyHD here, and welcome back to Game Breakers. This time we're going to be taking a look at glitches in the coin game. This is a small indie title that's centered around arcade games that I've been addicted to over these past few weeks. As of the release of this video, there are 3 arcades full of machines, games like mini golf, go-karts, and laser tag, as well as a traditional carnival with rides and other games. It's a full-fledged game though, with an overworld and my personal favorite, survival mode, where you basically become a full-time arcade player, earning prizes to sell for money in order to buy food and other necessary items. I've become addicted to this game over the past few weeks, and while playing it, I've come across a fair amount of glitches. Everything from infinite money, getting out of bounds, this, and a whole bunch of other pretty entertaining glitches. So let's get into glitches for the coin game. Let's kick off this episode with a very useful and pretty easy glitch. Over at Barry's pawn shop, you can sell all of your prizes, trash, and other items you've collected throughout the game. You can do this through the pawn and swap machine, where you place items inside of it and the screen will display how much Barry will pay you for it. Upon pressing the button, the items inside will get destroyed. But what if they didn't? Well, I found a way to get cash for the item without losing it, essentially giving you unlimited money. You'll need at least 2 items for this. One to actually sell and destroy, so I'd recommend a cheap item like a used soda can, as well as an item you want to keep and get all the money for. So I'd recommend an expensive prize or one of the high value items of the day. Drop and place the cheap item inside of the machine, and then you'll want to drop and position the better item close to the machine but not inside of it. Okay, you have to be quick for this next part. Press the button to sell the item, and as the glass door is still closing, grab the second item and try and shove it in there. If you were quick enough, the item will pop inside and potentially glitch out a little bit, but not get destroyed. If you look at the display, it still shows the item as being sold, granting you the money for it. After you collect your earnings, you can collect your item back as well, and I think you see where I'm going with this. You can just repeat this process, selling a junk item over and over and placing an expensive item in afterwards. After I ran out of soda cans, I just bought sour treats from the machine right next to where we're working, and used those. They're only $1, and I was making about 100 each time, so the profit was totally worth it. As for the items I'd recommend using this glitch with, I'd say use smaller and less bulky ones. Larger ones like the Rasta banana can be kinda hard to get inside the machine before the door closes, but it also comes down to a personal preference and how quick you will be moving the item. So, try out whatever items you want before making the decision for yourself, but there you go, an easy way to make a whole bunch of money without having to do a whole lot of work. Whether you're playing in birthday or survival mode, I still think it's worth it. I know in birthday mode you can just go into the money machine, but this does take way less time and you get a lot more money faster. Personally, I don't think I'm going to use this glitch for survival though. I enjoy grinding the jobs for cash to spend on games at the arcade, so I feel like this would take away most of the enjoyment out of that and just make it like a birthday mode V2 or something. Anyway, do what you want with this and enjoy your free money. This next one can be done pretty much anywhere. All you need is a bike and an NPC. Start off by riding far enough away from them so that when we collide with them, it'll do permanent damage. Build up speed while keeping them in your sights, and right before you crash into them, save yourself and get off the bike. The NPC will become merged with the bike itself, and you can already begin to see what kind of problems this creates. The NPC, bike, or both will start to violently shake as they're both trying to escape each other's collision. You can just sit back and watch the chaos unfold, as there's no telling what they'll do when they're merged together. You can add even more chaos to this by carrying more NPCs over to it. They might seem like they disappear, but all of them will become merged inside of this bicycle vortex. This creates even more problems for the game, so you'll see a lot of visual bugs. The group of 3 eventually started sliding away pretty fast out of nowhere until the smallest one ran off with my bike and tried to toss it into the water for what it did to him. So logically, I threw him in instead. Over at One-Eyed Billy's arcade, you'll find the pile-up machine. You have to stack falling blocks on top of each other to create a tower, reaching certain heights that will grant you a set amount of tickets. The first barrier is just 4 boxes, which says it will reward you 50 tickets. When you reach it though, it'll only read out 25 tickets. Don't worry, as this is simply a visual glitch and you're still awarded the 50 like the original banner said. Upon leaving the machine, you'll notice you still pick up 50 tickets, so I'm not really sure why this happens. It doesn't occur for any of the other tiers, like 100 tickets will still read out 100, so I guess it's just a bug? I don't know. Staying in this arcade, if you're ever bored in here, and I mean that bored, you can hang out around this bridge here and watch NPCs walk across it. While sometimes not exciting or not eventful, other times they will just struggle to walk, or start glitching into the floor and snap back into position. I guess there's some wonky collision with the bridge that NPCs walking over will just cause a few minor issues. Again, you gotta be pretty bored in order to witness it, but sometimes it'll just happen as you're passing by anyway for a little added entertainment. Next up, we got a pretty fun one to mess around with. You can simply make any movable object just float. Very easy to do. Just walk over to whatever you want, pick it up, and hold it up off the ground. It doesn't matter how high up you hold it, but you can't keep shaking it around. Just pick a point, don't move while you're holding it, and once the item stops swaying completely, you can just let go and it'll stay right where you left it, leaving me with one of the coolest shopping carts you'll ever see. Or not, I don't know what you've seen. They will stay floating as long as you'd like them to, meaning you have time to make whatever kind of floating monument you want. This was my beautiful creation, complete with shopping carts, jolted boxes, and the Rasta banana, of course. To my knowledge, there's no limit on how many items can float, and just about any movable object will work with this. NPCs can technically levitate as well, but as soon as they roll around, it'll snap them back to the ground. Speaking of which, moving any of these items will correct their glitch state, so whether that be you grabbing the item itself or knocking one into another. Sadly, this also means you can't use floating objects as platforms to stand on. I had this whole big plan to make a massive floating staircase with a platform way above the map, but the second you stand on one of these, they fall back down with you. The floating objects also don't stay once you enter a new area such as a building, so any objects that were previously ignoring gravity will be updated once you hit one of those black loading screens. One of the uses I thought of for this glitch was displaying prizes or other things in your room in a neat way, but it'll only last while you stay in the house. So unless you want to rehang everything each time you come home, it's not really worth it. Regardless, I still had a good amount of fun with this one, and you can create a whole lot of funny visual effects. Besides the arcades, the coin game has a few jobs you can complete in order to make some extra money. One of those is delivering newspapers. Simply ride around and when you see a red mailbox, place one in. However, if you're familiar with this game, you'll find that trying to do this job for the first few times is extremely finicky and will sometimes make you want to just... Well, fortunately, I found a glitch that makes this delivering process a tad easier. Once at a mailbox, grab your paper and push it up against the side of it. Now walk to the opposite side of the one that the newspaper is on while still facing it and begin walking backwards. Once you get far enough away, the newspaper will shoot forward and seemingly phase into the mailbox, completing that delivery. You can do this with all the mailboxes around the map. The reason this happens is due to the way held items are treated. Since you're walking further and further away from the newspaper while holding it, the game has a certain distance that will force the item to catch back up to you after crossing that threshold. Meaning it will temporarily ignore other collisions like the mailbox in this situation and hit the trigger for the newspaper being delivered. You can see this effect in action pretty much any time you finish one of these deliveries using this glitch. They'll be in extremely weird positions throughout the mailbox and sometimes not even in them at all. These people are going to have a hard time getting a paper literally unfazed out of plastic and wood, but it's not really our problem as we still get paid for it. Not too far away from your house and the paper stand is the Jones family, who are in constant need of a babysitter. Upon entering, you have to complete a few simple tasks, like slamming the kids into the wall before putting them into bed, throwing toys across the house into the chest. Look at this beauty of a toss real quick. As well as cleaning the floors from all the dirt these little shoes made. After completing everything, you're given $20 for your efforts and are free to leave. Instead of doing that though, pick up the sweeper if you don't have it already. Now just right click to drop it, followed by tab to pull out your watch. You doing this interrupts the game from removing the sweeper from your hands, and now you've basically duplicated it. The real one is on the floor, so now you just have this one stuck in your view. It's purely a visual bug, as you're still able to pull out other items you'd be able to hold, like the rubber band gun and the flashlight. So now I guess you just have a rubber band launching Swiffer. You sadly still can't leave the house with the glitch active, so to correct it, simply pick up the sweeper again and drop it like normal. This will set everything back to the way it was, and a quick word of advice, if you can't find the mop or threw it out of the house, you can go over to the box of pads and respawn it. There are two small glitches I wanted to show off with the values being a little wonky. One of them is Dunko in Larry's Arcade. Load at least $4 or $5 worth of credits, and after dropping a few tokens, back out of the machine. You'll notice the number of credits is still displayed, but upon putting your card back into the machine, they'll be offset entirely. Sometimes you'll even get negative values. This is purely a visual bug though, as the correct amount of tokens will be shown after depositing the money and before the game can be played. A similar thing can occur at Popcorn Pete's and Friends machine in the UFO arcade. Pay attention to the credit values on both machines. The one you're playing on is obviously all good, but the second machine will lower its value every time you launch a token. This will continue into the negatives and keep going until you run out of tokens on the other. And here's a better view after using up all my credits. Putting my card into that machine will create a similar effect to the Dunko one, and you'll see even more messed up values by selecting how much money you want to put in. Again though, it's purely visual and won't actually mess up your game when trying to play it. Moving on to one of the best glitches in the game, infinite jumping. By doing this, you can get just about anywhere you want. No building is too tall, and no area is off limits. You can technically do this with a lot of grabbable items, but I'd recommend using the NPCs as they're personally the best to work with. Grab a hold of one by the head and find a nice wall to throw them up against. Stand so it's you, the NPC, and then the wall, all in a row. Now simply jump onto the NPC while still holding them and maneuver so you can continuously jump off the top of their head. Keep mashing the jump button and you'll begin to rise higher and higher, allowing you to get up as high as you want. I'd recommend starting off with walls as you can use it to stop yourself from going too far forward and falling off their head. But once you get the hang of it, you can pretty much do it anywhere. While you're jumping, I'd recommend letting go of sprint and try and do as little movements as possible. Here, I'm just tapping up every few seconds in order to stay on, but the rest is just mashing jump. You can get up really high once you get a rhythm going, but be careful as there is a height boundary that will reset you back on solid ground if you go too high. But while you're up there, feel free to take in the scenery before you and the NPC splat back down to the ground. Like I said earlier, you can do this with a lot of items and prizes throughout the game, but the smaller the item, the harder it'll be to gain a lot of height. From my experience, the NPCs are the most consistent, and you can find them pretty much anywhere on the map, so there's really not a whole lot of reasons to use anything else. One of the places I used this on was getting on top of the tower at the factory. It gives you a very nice view of basically the entire map, and you don't have to worry about falling. You can also use this to break out of bounds. One of my first ideas when I found this glitch was getting out of an arcade. I know the game unloads the overworld when you enter one, so I was trying to infinite jump onto the roof. But Larry's in the UFO arcade have a fat layer of collision to block you. But not One-Eyed Billy's. I began by getting on top of the prizes hut roof, and then jumping my way up to the roof with very little trouble. The game unloads basically everything in the overworld, leaving a few buildings and other objects loaded in. The rest is kind of just a big black void, but still very neat to look at. You can also use this sunroof to see inside the arcade from a bird's eye view. I was able to go anywhere I wanted on the roof itself, but if you try and jump off or go too far outside the arcade's set boundaries, it'll reset you back on the ground. I'm sure there are other uses for this glitch, but the main appeal for me was getting insane views of the game that aren't normally possible, as well as getting places I'm not supposed to be. Have fun with this one, and let me know what you guys accomplish with it. If I'm going to show you a way to get up to high places, I might as well show you how to get down. This is just another really small glitch I found using the watch. If you ever find yourself in a position where you're falling and definitely going to snap your legs once you land, simply pull out your watch right before hitting the ground, and you'll be able to walk off any fall completely fine. The watch is kind of a weird menu. It completely stops you in place, but the world around you stays moving. Pulling it out basically kills any stored momentum you had. In this case, plummeting to those snapped legs of yours. You can see in a lot of these clips how I'm jumping outward, so I'm not just falling straight down, but the second I pull out my watch and put it away, I'll stop falling in that direction and just float down. So it's almost like the game resets your position like you're on solid ground and then realizes, hey, wait a minute, you should be falling, and starts building velocity again. To further prove that this works, I went onto my survival world that does have fall damage, so before you type that comment, don't, I did an infinite jump to get even higher and began falling. Again, pulling out my watch before hitting the ground, and voila, not losing health this time. I know in birthday mode this glitch doesn't really help out a whole lot, but for survival, this might just save your life. There's actually more we can do by pulling the watch out while you're in the air. So, welcome back. This time we're going to be messing around with the water physics. So I guess our character isn't buoyant at all, and I'm able to just walk under the water. Makes sense. But what if you wanted to swim? And by swim, I mean this. Walking above the seafloor. You're able to jump underwater, but while you're still in the air, pull out your watch quickly. Now you're stuck in the air, drifting toward whatever you were facing before you did. It puts your character in a really weird state, where you don't have much control over them. You can't change direction or stop yourself. You're just stuck gliding until you reach a point where you can stand again, or you can pull out your watch to actually change direction. I don't really have a confident explanation on why this happens, but I'm going to guess it's similar to the fall damage glitch I just showed off, where the game kills your momentum after pulling out the watch. I tried to see if I could keep my head above the water and activate the glitch so you guys didn't have to see such a blurred view, but it doesn't seem like that's possible. I basically got as close as I could to going underwater, but it still didn't work. So I think you need to be in this dark view in order for the game to think that you're underwater, thus activating the glitch. Not really sure what this could be used for, but hey, just letting you know it's a thing you can do. If you want a new way to travel around, this little trick might just be for you. All you gotta do is get hit by a car. Please don't do this in real life. Stand on the road and let one run into you. In most situations, you'd be dead. But in the coin game, you can use it to get around quicker. You want to try and stay in the middle of the car, as you can easily slide off the sides. Turns on the road can be a little difficult to deal with, as the cars hit the weirdest drifts imaginable in this game, but it can still be done. Sometimes. Certain vehicles are better than others in terms of collision, so pay attention to which cars you get hit by. Some you might just clip right through without having to move too much, but other cars will keep you smushed up against the hood for minutes at a time. If you try it in one of the semi-trucks, you'll be able to see inside the car with the little dude driving around. Not sure how he reaches the pedals with those tires for feet, but whatever. Not really a glitch, but it can still be a handy little trick to abuse if you want to get somewhere fast. So, there were glitches, and I guess tricks, in the coin game. I had a lot of fun making this video, as all these glitches were found by myself simply playing the game and brainstorming ideas. Meaning, there's definitely more glitches out there, as there's no way I found all of them. Also, I don't mean any ill will towards the creator by showing off the glitches in the game. I know it's a one-man team of this guy just trying to make the best game he can, but it doesn't mean we still can't have fun messing around with these. I'm going to leave a link in the description for the game on Steam. This isn't a paid promotion or anything, I just wanted to get the word out on it. So if this type of game interests you, consider checking it out. The more support the creator gets, the more content we'll probably get for it. But for now, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, see ya!